Why do we knock on wood for good luck? It's a habit so common, most of us don't even think twice about it. But what if I told you this simple gesture connects us to a world thousands of years old, a world where ancient Celts believed spirits lived in trees, and knocking on wood was a way to call on their protection? This isn't just a quirky tradition, it's a thread stretching back through time, linking us to the beliefs, fears, and hopes of our ancestors. From avoiding black cats to throwing salt over your shoulder, these everyday superstitions are more than just old wives' tales. They're echoes of ancient cultures, each one holding a story about how people once made sense of the world around them. Take walking under a ladder, for example. Why does it feel so unlucky? Is it just about the risk of something falling on you, or is there something deeper? What about breaking a mirror? Why 7 years of bad luck? These rituals and warnings might seem random today, but they're rooted in beliefs that shaped entire civilizations. In this video, we're going to uncover the hidden stories behind these superstition stories that reveal how ancient ideas about spirits, fate, and the natural world have survived in our modern lives. So, if you've ever wondered why we do the things we do, or if you've ever felt a shiver of unease when a black cat crosses your path, stick around, because what you're about to discover might just change the way you see the world and yourself. The origins of knocking on wood trace back to the ancient Celts, who believed that trees were more than just plants, they were sacred beings, home to powerful spirits. For the Celts, these tree-dwelling spirits were guardians of the natural world, and showing respect to them could bring protection or good fortune. Knocking on wood was a way to acknowledge and honor these spirits, a gesture of gratitude or a plea for their favor. It wasn't just about luck, it was about maintaining harmony with the unseen forces that shaped their lives. The Druids, the spiritual leaders of the Celts, held oak trees in particular reverence. They saw the oak as a symbol of strength and wisdom, a tree that connected the earth to the heavens. This deep respect for oaks spread across Europe, influencing countless traditions and superstitions. Over time, the act of knocking on wood became less about communicating with spirits and more about a general belief in its power to ward off misfortune. Folklore has a way of simplifying ancient rituals, turning complex spiritual practices into everyday habits that endure long after their original meanings fade. This connection between nature and superstition isn't unique to the Celts. Many ancient cultures saw the natural world as alive with spirits and divine energy, and their rituals often revolved around appeasing or honoring these forces. Knocking on wood is just one example of how these ancient beliefs have been preserved, even if their original significance has been lost to time. As we explore other superstitions, you'll start to notice a pattern. Many of them have roots in humanity's ancient relationship with nature. From the trees that sheltered spirits to the animals that carried omens, the natural world has always been a source of wonder, fear, and inspiration. And as we'll see, these connections reveal just how deeply our ancestors' beliefs still shape our lives today. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most enduring superstitions in modern times, the fear of the number 13. It's a number so unlucky that many buildings skip labeling a 13th floor. Airlines avoid seating rows with the number, and some people even avoid scheduling important events on Friday the 13th. But where does this deep-rooted dread come from? To understand it, we have to go back to Norse mythology, where the story of Loki, the trickster god, sets the stage for this centuries-old superstition. According to legend, there was once a banquet hosted by 12 gods in Valhalla. Loki, the 13th guest, arrived uninvited and caused chaos, ultimately leading to the tragic death of one of the gods. This myth planted the seed of an idea that 13 people gathered together could bring disaster. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and this belief merged with Christian narratives. The Last Supper, where Jesus dined with his 12 disciples, became another example of 13 individuals at a table, a meal followed by betrayal and tragedy. Over time, the number 13 became a symbol of misfortune, a number to be avoided at all costs, but it doesn't stop there. The fear of 13, or triskaidekaphobia, as it's formally known, has woven itself into the fabric of modern life. Take skyscrapers, for instance. Many architects omit the 13th floor entirely, labeling it as the 14th to avoid unsettling tenants. Hotels and hospitals often follow suit, skipping room numbers or beds associated with the dreaded number. And then there's Friday the 13th, a day so steeped in superstition that some people refuse to travel, start new projects, or even leave their homes. This combination of day and date is particularly ominous, blending the ancient fear of 13 with medieval Christian associations of Friday as the day of Christ's crucifixion. What's fascinating is how this superstition transcends cultures. In ancient Rome, the number 13 was considered unlucky because it followed 12, a number often associated with completeness. Think 12 months in a year, 12 zodiac signs, or 12 labors of Hercules. Even today, the number carries a symbolic weight that goes beyond logic, tapping into something primal within us. It's a reminder of how deeply ingrained these beliefs are, passed down through generations and still influencing our behavior in surprising ways. As we explore other superstitions, you'll notice that numbers often play a powerful role in shaping our fears and rituals. Whether it's lucky sevens, unlucky threes, or the mysterious allure of 0, numbers have always been more than just quantities. They're symbols, carrying meanings that resonate across time and culture. And as we'll see, these meanings often reveal as much about us as they do about the world we live in. The concept of the evil eye is one of the most pervasive and enduring superstitions in human history, stretching back thousands of years. It's the belief that a malevolent glare, often born of envy or malice, can bring harm, misfortune, or even illness to its target. This idea isn't tied to a single culture. It appears in ancient Mesopotamian texts, Greek mythology, and even the Bible, showing just how universal the fear of unseen, jealous energy has been. The evil eye wasn't just a superstition. It was a way for people to explain the unexplainable, to make sense of sudden tragedies or bad luck that seemed to come out of nowhere. In ancient Mesopotamia, one of the earliest civilizations, the evil eye was already a well-documented concern. Clay tablets from that era describe rituals to protect against it, often involving prayers and offerings to the gods. The Greeks took this belief even further, weaving it into their mythology. They believed that certain gods and creatures, like the Gorgon Medusa, could turn people to stone with just a glance, a vivid metaphor for the destructive power of envy. To counter this, they developed talismans and charms, small objects imbued with protective power. One of the most famous of these talismans is the Nazar amulet, a blue and white eye-shaped charm that's still widely used today. Originating in the Mediterranean and Middle Eastern regions, the Nazar is believed to reflect the evil gaze back to its sender, neutralizing its harmful effects. You've probably seen these amulets hanging in homes, cars, or even worn as jewelry. They're not just decorative, they're a direct link to ancient beliefs about protection and the unseen forces that could threaten our well-being. The spread of the evil eye superstition is a testament to how ideas travel across cultures. From the Middle East, it made its way into Europe, where it blended with local folklore. In Italy, people wore cornicolo charms shaped like chili peppers to ward off the evil eye. In Turkey, the Nazar became a staple of daily life, appearing on everything from baby cribs to shop windows. Even in modern times, this belief persists, with celebrities and influencers often spotted wearing evil eye jewelry, not just for fashion but as a nod to its protective symbolism. What's fascinating is how this ancient superstition has adapted to the modern world. While we may no longer believe that a jealous glance can bring literal harm, the idea of the evil eye still resonates. It taps into something primal, a fear of envy and the unknown, and a desire to shield ourselves from negativity. Today, you'll find evil eye motifs in home decor, clothing, and even tech accessories, proving that these ancient symbols still hold power in our lives. This belief in protection from unseen forces isn't limited to the evil eye. Around the world, you'll find countless superstitions designed to guard against harm, from hanging horseshoes over doorways to carrying lucky stones. Each one reflects a shared human impulse to seek safety and control in a world that often feels unpredictable. As we explore more superstitions, you'll see how this theme of protection repeats itself, showing just how deeply rooted these ideas are in our collective psyche. And speaking of protection, let's turn to another superstition that's all about safeguarding what matters most, the practice of hanging a horseshoe for good luck. But why a horseshoe, and why does it matter which way it's hung? The answers take us back to a time when iron was believed to have magical properties, and the shape of the horseshoe held special significance. But that's a story for the next segment. The superstition surrounding broken mirrors is one of the most widely recognized and feared traditions in modern culture. Why does breaking a mirror bring not just bad luck but a full 7 years of it? To understand this belief, we need to step back to ancient Rome, where mirrors weren't just everyday objects, they were thought to hold a piece of the soul. For the Romans, a mirror wasn't merely a reflection of your appearance, it was a window into your very essence. Breaking one wasn't just an accident, it was seen as shattering a part of yourself, leaving your soul vulnerable and fragmented. The idea of a 7-year curse comes from the Roman belief in cycles of renewal. They believed that the body and soul rejuvenated themselves every 7 years, a process that mirrored the natural cycles of life. If a mirror was broken, the damage to the soul would take an entire cycle, 7 years, to heal. This belief wasn't just a passing superstition. It was deeply tied to their understanding of health, spirituality, and the passage of time. As Roman influence spread, so did this superstition. By the Middle Ages, it had taken on new layers of meaning. Mirrors, now made of glass, were expensive and rare, so breaking one was not only spiritually significant but also financially devastating. The fear of 7 years of bad luck became a way to emphasize the gravity of such an event, blending ancient spiritual beliefs with practical concerns. Even today, the superstition persists, with people going to great lengths to avoid breaking mirrors, or performing rituals to counteract the curse if they do. Take the practice of sweeping up the broken pieces and burying them under moonlight, for example. This ritual, still followed in some cultures, is thought to help heal the soul by symbolically returning the shattered pieces to the earth. Others might throw salt over their shoulder or spin around 3 times to ward off the bad luck. These rituals, while varied, all share a common thread: their attempts to restore balance and protect against unseen forces, much like the ancient Romans sought to do. What's fascinating is how this superstition has evolved while retaining its core symbolism. Even in our modern, rational world, the fear of breaking a mirror lingers, a testament to how deeply these ancient beliefs are etched into our collective consciousness. It's a reminder that, for all our advancements, we're still influenced by ideas that stretch back thousands of years. This connection between everyday objects and superstition isn't unique to mirrors. Throughout history, household items have often been imbued with symbolic meaning, becoming focal points for rituals and beliefs. From the humble broom to the simple key, these objects carry stories that reveal how people once interacted with the world around them, and how those interactions still shape our lives today. Speaking of household objects, let's explore another fascinating superstition: the belief that a broom can sweep away more than just dust, but that's a story for the next segment. Salt, something so common in our kitchens today, was once considered one of the most valuable substances on Earth. In ancient times, spilling it wasn't just a minor inconvenience, it was a serious omen of bad luck. But why? To answer that, we have to look back at how salt was viewed by civilizations like ancient Egypt and Rome. For them, salt wasn't just a seasoning, it was a symbol of purity, life, and even divine favor. In ancient Egypt, salt was used in religious rituals to purify offerings and protect the dead. It was believed to ward off evil spirits, and its preservative qualities made it a metaphor for eternity. The Romans took this reverence even further, calling salt sal, which is where we get the word salary. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, a practice that highlights just how precious it was. To spill salt, then, wasn't just wasteful, it was seen as disrespectful to the gods and a sign of impending misfortune. This belief gave rise to the superstition we know today, throwing spilled salt over your left shoulder. But why the left shoulder? In many ancient cultures, the left side was associated with evil or misfortune. By tossing salt over that shoulder, you were symbolically blinding any lurking evil spirits, preventing them from bringing harm. It's a small gesture, but one steeped in centuries of tradition and meaning. Salt's importance extended beyond the spiritual. It was a cornerstone of trade and economy, often referred to as white gold. In medieval Europe, salt routes were established to transport this precious commodity, and wars were fought over control of salt mines. Its value was so great that it became a symbol of trust and friendship. Breaking bread over salt was a sign of mutual respect and goodwill. Even today, the superstition lingers in our dining etiquette. Many people still toss a pinch of salt over their shoulder after a spill, often without knowing why. It's a fascinating example of how ancient beliefs can survive in our modern lives, even when their original meanings have faded. What's intriguing is how this superstition ties into broader themes of protection and purity. From ancient rituals to modern tables, salt has always been more than just a seasoning. It's a symbol of safeguarding what's valuable. And as we'll see, food-related superstitions often reveal deeper truths about how our ancestors viewed the world. They weren't just afraid of bad luck, they were searching for ways to protect themselves from unseen dangers, to create order in a chaotic world. This connection between food and superstition isn't limited to salt. Across cultures, certain foods have been imbued with symbolic meaning, becoming tools for warding off evil or inviting good fortune. Whether it's throwing rice at weddings or avoiding certain dishes during festivals, these traditions tell us a lot about the fears and values of the people who created them. As we move forward, we'll uncover more of these fascinating links between food and folklore stories that show how even the simplest meal can carry the weight of centuries of belief. But for now, let's turn our attention to another everyday object that's steeped in superstition, the humble broom. The superstition of walking under ladders is one of those warnings we've all heard, but few of us stop to question why it's considered so unlucky. Is it just about the risk of something falling on you, or is there something more mysterious at play? To uncover the origins of this belief, we need to travel back to ancient Egypt, where the triangle wasn't just a geometric shape, it was a sacred symbol. For the ancient Egyptians, the triangle represented the divine triad of gods Osiris, Isis, and Horus. These three deities were central to their understanding of life, death, and rebirth, and the shape itself was seen as a powerful emblem of spiritual energy. Walking through a triangle, like the space formed by a leaning ladder against a wall, was considered an act of disrespect, a violation of the sacred space between the gods and the mortal world. It wasn't just bad luck, it was an affront to the divine order. As time passed, this belief evolved and spread, taking on new meanings in different cultures. By the Middle Ages, Christianity had adopted the idea of the triangle as a sacred shape, associating it with the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Walking under a ladder which naturally forms a triangle became seen as a sign of disrespect to this holy symbol, but there's more to the story than just religious reverence. In medieval Europe, ladders were also associated with execution by hanging. The condemned would climb a ladder to reach the gallows, and the space beneath it became a place of death and misfortune. This grim association only deepened the superstition, turning it into a widespread belief that walking under a ladder could invite disaster. Over time, the act became a general omen of bad luck, detached from its original religious and cultural contexts but still carrying that lingering sense of unease. Today, the superstition persists in surprising ways. On construction sites, for example, workers often avoid walking under ladders not just for safety reasons but out of habit or tradition. It's a small nod to a belief that stretches back thousands of years, a reminder of how deeply these ideas are embedded in our collective psyche. Even in everyday life, many people still feel a twinge of apprehension when they see a ladder leaning against a wall, instinctively choosing to walk around it rather than risk tempting fate. What's fascinating about this superstition is how it reflects broader cultural taboos, the unwritten rules that govern what we consider acceptable or forbidden. Whether it's avoiding sacred shapes, disrespecting religious symbols, or steering clear of places associated with death, these taboos reveal how societies have sought to create order and meaning in a chaotic world. They're not just random fears, they're expressions of deeper values and beliefs. This connection between superstition and cultural taboos isn't unique to ladders. Across history, many everyday objects and actions have been imbued with symbolic meaning, becoming tools for navigating the unseen forces that shape our lives. From the food we eat to the paths we choose, these rituals and warnings offer a glimpse into how our ancestors made sense of the world, and how those ideas continue to influence us today. As we explore more superstitions, you'll see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply intertwined our beliefs are with the cultures that shaped them. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions aren't just about avoiding bad luck, they're about actively seeking good fortune, often in the most unexpected ways. Black cats, those sleek, mysterious creatures that seem to embody both elegance and enigma. Today, they're often seen as harbingers of bad luck, especially when one crosses your path. But this superstition has a far more complex history than you might expect. In fact, black cats haven't always been feared. In some cultures, they were once revered as sacred beings. To understand how their reputation shifted from divine to diabolical, we need to travel back to ancient Egypt, where cats of all colors were held in the highest regard. The ancient Egyptians worshipped cats, seeing them as living embodiments of the goddess Bastet, a deity associated with home, fertility, and protection. Black cats in particular were believed to carry the favor of the gods, their dark coats symbolizing the mysteries of the night and the unseen world. Harming a cat, even accidentally, was considered a grave offense punishable by death. This reverence for cats spread beyond Egypt, influencing neighboring cultures and establishing felines as symbols of power and grace. But as history unfolded, the status of black cats took a dramatic turn. By the Middle Ages, Europe had become a place of suspicion and fear, where anything out of the ordinary was seen as a potential threat. Cats, especially black ones, became associated with witchcraft. Their nocturnal habits and stealthy movements made them seem like the perfect companions for witches, who were believed to use cats as familiar spiritual helpers that carried out their dark deeds. This connection was solidified during the witch trials of the 16th and 17th centuries, where black cats were often accused of being witches in disguise or even the devil himself. One particularly chilling anecdote comes from the trial of a woman named Isabel Gowdy in Scotland, who confessed to transforming into a black cat to sneak into homes and cast spells. Stories like these fueled the fear of black cats, leading to widespread persecution. In some areas, black cats were hunted and killed, a tragic irony given their earlier role as protectors and symbols of good fortune. Yet not all cultures viewed black cats with suspicion. In parts of Britain and Japan, black cats were seen as bringers of good luck. Sailors, for example, often kept black cats on their ships, believing they would ensure safe voyages. In Japan, a black cat crossing your path was considered a sign of prosperity, not misfortune. This duality, where black cats could be either cursed or blessed, shows how superstitions are shaped by cultural context, reflecting the fears and values of the societies that create them. Today, the superstition persists in many parts of the world, with black cats often excluded from adoption events around Halloween due to lingering fears. Yet, for those who know their history, black cats are a reminder of how deeply our perceptions of animals are tied to the stories we tell about them. They're not just pets or omens, they're symbols of humanity's enduring fascination with the mysterious and the unknown. This connection between animals and superstition isn't limited to cats. Throughout history, animals have played a central role in shaping our beliefs, from the ravens that foretold omens in Norse mythology to the cows revered as sacred in Hinduism. Each culture has its own stories, revealing how animals have been both feared and celebrated as intermediaries between the human and spiritual worlds. As we move forward, we'll explore how other animals have become woven into the fabric of superstition, uncovering the fascinating ways they've influenced our rituals, fears, and even our sense of identity. But for now, let's turn our attention to another animal that's long been associated with luck, both good and bad, the humble rabbit. Or more specifically, the rabbit's foot, a talisman that's as mysterious as it is macabre. The humble clover, a plant so common it often goes unnoticed beneath our feet. But among its three-leafed counterparts, there's one that stands out, the elusive four-leaf clover. For centuries, this rare variation has been treasured as a symbol of good luck, but its origins go far deeper than mere chance. To understand the power of the four-leaf clover, we need to journey back to the ancient Druids, the spiritual leaders of the Celts, who saw these tiny plants as gateways to the mystical world. The Druids believed that four-leaf clovers were more than just botanical anomalies. They were sacred talismans with the ability to ward off evil spirits. The rarity of the four-leaf clover made it a powerful symbol of protection, a natural charm that could shield the bearer from harm. But there's more to the story. The Druids also believed that carrying a four-leaf clover granted the ability to see fairies, those elusive, mischievous beings who lived in the hidden corners of the natural world. For the Celts, who revered nature and its unseen forces, this was no small gift. It was a way to glimpse the magical realms that coexisted with their own, a reminder that the world was far more mysterious than it appeared. As time passed, this ancient belief evolved. By the Middle Ages, the four-leaf clover had become a symbol of good luck across Europe, its meaning shifting from spiritual protection to general fortune. Each leaf was said to represent something different: faith, hope, love, and luck. Finding one became a sign of divine favor, a promise of good things to come. This idea has persisted into modern times, with people still searching for four-leaf clovers in fields and gardens, hoping to carry a little piece of that ancient magic with them. Today, the four-leaf clover remains a popular motif in jewelry, tattoos, and even corporate logos. Its image is often used to symbolize luck and prosperity, a nod to its long history as a talisman of good fortune. But it's not just about luck, it's also a connection to the natural world, a reminder of how deeply our ancestors believed in the power of plants and the land. What's fascinating is how this superstition reflects a broader theme, the symbolic meaning we attach to the natural world. From the oak trees revered by the Druids to the clovers that dot our fields, plants have always held a special place in human culture. They're not just resources or decorations, they're symbols of life, growth, and the unseen forces that shape our world. This connection between plants and superstition isn't limited to clovers. Across cultures, certain plants have been imbued with symbolic meaning, becoming tools for protection, healing, and even divination. Whether it's the rosemary used to ward off evil spirits or the mistletoe hung for love and fertility, these traditions reveal how our ancestors saw the natural world as a source of both wonder and power. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the world around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions go beyond mere symbols. They involve actions and rituals that transform ordinary objects into powerful tools for shaping our fate. But that's a story for the next segment. Have you ever been scolded for opening an umbrella indoors? It's one of those quirky superstitions that feels almost instinctive, even if you don't know why. But this seemingly random rule has roots that stretch all the way back to ancient Egypt, where umbrellas weren't just tools for staying dry. They were symbols of power and protection, deeply tied to the worship of the sun god Ra. In ancient Egypt, umbrellas, or parasols, were primarily used to shield people from the sun's harsh rays. They were seen as sacred objects representing the protection of Ra, the god who ruled the sky and brought light to the world. Opening an umbrella indoors was considered an act of disrespect, a way of spurning the sun's divine favor. It wasn't just bad manners, it was a violation of spiritual order, an invitation for misfortune to enter your life. Over time, this reverence for the umbrella and its connection to the divine seeped into cultural norms, creating a taboo that would persist for centuries. Fast forward to Victorian England, and the superstition took on a new life. By this time, umbrellas had become common household items, but their design was far from perfect. Early umbrellas were bulky, spring-loaded contraptions that could snap open unexpectedly, causing damage or injury in tight indoor spaces. Opening one indoors wasn't just seen as rude, it was downright dangerous. This practical concern blended with older superstitions, creating a widespread belief that opening an umbrella indoors would bring bad luck. It wasn't just about the risk of breaking a vase or poking someone's eye out. It was about tempting fate, inviting chaos into your home. Historical anecdotes from the Victorian era paint a vivid picture of how seriously this belief was taken. In some households, servants were strictly forbidden from opening umbrellas indoors, and guests who accidentally did so were met with gasps and hurried apologies. One particularly dramatic story tells of a wealthy merchant who opened an umbrella in his parlor, only to have his prized chandelier shatter moments later. Whether the events were truly connected or not, the incident became a cautionary tale, reinforcing the superstition for generations. What's fascinating about this belief is how it reflects broader cultural attitudes toward everyday objects. Umbrellas, like many household items, carry hidden layers of meaning that go beyond their practical use. They're not just tools, they're symbols, imbued with stories and superstitions that reveal how our ancestors navigated the world. From ancient Egypt to Victorian England, the umbrella's journey is a testament to how deeply our fears and beliefs are tied to the objects we use every day. This connection between everyday objects and superstition isn't unique to umbrellas. Throughout history, ordinary items have often been transformed into powerful symbols, carrying meanings that go far beyond their physical form. Whether it's a broom sweeping away bad luck or a key unlocking prosperity, these objects remind us that the world is full of hidden stories waiting to be uncovered. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the world around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions aren't just about avoiding bad luck, they're about actively seeking good fortune, often in the most unexpected ways. But for now, let's turn our attention to another everyday object that's steeped in superstition, the humble horseshoe. The full moon has always held a peculiar fascination for humanity, casting its pale light over our myths, fears, and imaginations. For centuries, this celestial event has been tied to stories of transformation, madness, and the supernatural stories that continue to shape our modern superstitions. But why does the full moon inspire such unease? To answer that, we need to look back at how ancient cultures viewed this luminous orb and the power they believed it held over the natural world. One of the most enduring legends tied to the full moon is the myth of the werewolf. In European folklore, the full moon was thought to trigger a terrifying transformation, turning ordinary people into bloodthirsty beasts. This belief likely originated from older pagan traditions where the moon was associated with cycles of change and renewal. The idea that the full moon could unleash primal, uncontrollable forces tapped into deep-seated fears about the duality of human nature, our capacity for both good and evil. Over time, these tales evolved, blending with Christian narratives of sin and punishment, until the werewolf became a symbol of cursed humanity, forever bound to the moon cycles. But the full moon's influence wasn't limited to werewolves. Many ancient cultures saw it as a powerful force in its own right, capable of affecting everything from crops to human behavior. The Greeks, for example, associated the moon with the goddess Selene, who was said to ride her silver chariot across the night sky, bringing light to the darkness. In Hindu mythology, the moon god Chandra was believed to control emotions and mental states, linking the lunar cycle to fluctuations in mood and behavior. Even the word lunatic, which we still use today, comes from the Latin luna, reflecting the ancient belief that the moon could drive people to madness. These beliefs didn't fade with the rise of modern science. In fact, they've persisted in surprising ways. Hospitals and police stations often report increases in erratic behavior during full moons, a phenomenon sometimes referred to as the lunar effect. While scientists debate whether there's any real connection, the idea that the full moon can stir up chaos remains deeply ingrained in our collective psyche. Pop culture has only amplified this belief, with countless books, movies, and TV shows portraying the full moon as a time of heightened danger and supernatural activity. What's fascinating is how these ancient ideas about the moon have adapted to the modern world. Today, the full moon is still seen as a time of mystery and transformation, whether we're talking about werewolf legends or the eerie beauty of a moonlit night. It's a reminder of how deeply our ancestors' beliefs about the natural world still influence us, even in an age of science and reason. This connection between celestial bodies and superstition isn't limited to the moon. Across cultures, the stars, planets, and other heavenly phenomena have been seen as omens, guides, and sources of power. From the zodiac signs that shape our horoscopes to the comets that were once feared as harbingers of doom, the sky has always been a canvas for our hopes, fears, and imaginations. As we explore more superstitions, you'll see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the world above us. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions go beyond mere symbols. They involve rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another celestial object that's long been tied to superstition, the enigmatic eclipse. Crossing your fingers, it's a gesture so simple, most of us do it without a second thought. Whether you're hoping for good luck or silently wishing for a positive outcome, it's a universal symbol of optimism. But this seemingly modern habit has roots that stretch back centuries, all the way to early Christianity. Back then, crossing your fingers wasn't just a casual gesture. It was a secret sign of faith, a way for persecuted believers to identify one another and silently invoke divine protection. In those early days, when Christians faced persecution under the Roman Empire, the cross was a powerful but dangerous symbol. Openly displaying it could mean arrest or worse. So, believers developed subtle ways to express their faith, and crossing their fingers became one of them. The act of pressing one finger over another was thought to create a hidden cross, a silent prayer for safety and favor. It was a small but meaningful act of defiance, a way to hold onto hope in the face of danger. As Christianity spread and became more widely accepted, the gesture began to shift in meaning. By the Middle Ages, it had evolved into a general symbol of good luck, detached from its original religious context but still carrying a sense of divine favor. People would cross their fingers when making promises, a way to seal their word and ensure honesty. Over time, it became a universal gesture, used by people of all backgrounds to wish for good fortune or ward off bad luck. What's fascinating is how this gesture has transcended cultures and languages. Today, crossing your fingers is recognized around the world, from Europe to Asia to the Americas. It's a rare example of a superstition that's truly global, a testament to how deeply ingrained these ancient symbols are in our collective consciousness. Whether you're crossing your fingers for a job interview, a sports match, or just hoping the rain holds off, you're tapping into a tradition that's been passed down for generations. This connection between gestures and ancient meanings isn't unique to crossing your fingers. Throughout history, body language has often carried hidden significance, from the hand gestures used in Hindu and Buddhist rituals to the subtle signs of protection found in folk traditions. These movements are more than just habits, they're echoes of the past, ways of communicating ideas and emotions that go beyond words. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these small, everyday actions, whether it's crossing your fingers, knocking on wood, or throwing salt over your shoulder, are part of a larger tapestry of human belief. They're not just random quirks, they're threads that connect us to the people who came before us, to the fears and hopes that shaped their lives. And in a world that often feels disconnected from its past, these gestures remind us that we're still part of something much bigger. Now let's turn our attention to another gesture that's steeped in ancient meaning, the act of raising a toast. But this isn't just about clinking glasses. It's a ritual with roots that go back to the very beginnings of human civilization. The sound of whistling might seem harmless, even cheerful, but in many cultures, doing it indoors is seen as a dangerous act, one that could invite misfortune or even summon evil spirits. This superstition, which might feel odd to some of us today, has roots that run deep across the globe, from the icy landscapes of Russia to the serene traditions of Japan. But why would something as simple as whistling carry such weight? To understand this, we need to step into the world of ancient beliefs about sound and the unseen forces it could awaken. In Russia, whistling indoors is more than just bad manners. It's said to bring financial ruin. The belief stems from the idea that whistling mimics the sound of the wind, which was thought to carry away wealth and prosperity. For a culture where harsh winters and unpredictable harvests could mean the difference between survival and starvation, this superstition wasn't taken lightly. Even today, many Russians avoid whistling inside their homes, especially at night, fearing it might whistle away their good fortune. Meanwhile, in Japan, whistling indoors carries a different kind of danger. Here, it's believed that whistling can attract snakes or evil spirits, a belief tied to older folk traditions about the power of sound. In Japanese folklore, certain tones and melodies were thought to awaken supernatural beings or disturb the natural order. Whistling, with its sharp, piercing notes, was seen as particularly risky, especially in quiet, confined spaces like homes or temples. To this day, some older generations in Japan still caution against it, passing down the belief as a way to maintain harmony and safety. What's fascinating is how this superstition takes on different meanings depending on the culture. In some parts of Scandinavia, whistling indoors was thought to summon storms or stir up mischief among household spirits. In the Caribbean, it was believed to call forth ghosts or restless souls. These variations reveal a common thread: the idea that sound, especially in enclosed spaces, has the power to cross into the realm of the unseen, to stir forces that are best left undisturbed. This belief isn't just a relic of the past. In certain communities, the taboo against whistling indoors is still very much alive. For example, in some rural areas of Eastern Europe, people will scold you for whistling inside, warning that it could anger the spirits or bring bad luck to the household. Similarly, in parts of Asia, particularly among older generations, the practice is still avoided, especially during important events or festivals. It's a small but persistent reminder of how ancient beliefs continue to shape our daily lives, even in subtle ways. What makes this superstition so enduring is its connection to the power of sound. Across cultures, music and noise have often been seen as tools for communication, not just between people, but between humans and the spiritual world. From the rhythmic drumming of shamanic rituals to the haunting melodies of funeral dirges, sound has always played a role in how we interact with the unseen. Whistling, with its ability to cut through silence and carry over distances, became a symbol of that power, one that could either protect or provoke, depending on how it was used. This idea of sound as a bridge between worlds isn't limited to whistling. Throughout history, music and noise have been central to countless superstitions, from the bells that ward off evil spirits to the songs that summon good fortune. These traditions remind us that sound isn't just something we hear, it's something we feel, something that resonates deep within us, connecting us to the mysteries of the universe. As we explore more superstitions, you'll see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the world around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions go beyond mere sounds. They involve rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another superstition that's all about sound: the belief in the power of bells to ward off evil. The practice of hanging a horseshoe for good luck is one of those traditions that feels timeless, a small piece of history we still carry into our modern lives. But why a horseshoe, and why does it matter which way it's hung? To answer that, we need to go back to ancient Rome, where horseshoes weren't just tools for protecting hooves. They were believed to have a much deeper, almost magical significance. For the Romans, iron was more than just a metal. It was a symbol of strength and protection. They believed that evil spirits feared iron, seeing it as a material that could repel their dark energy. Horseshoes made of iron and shaped like a crescent were thought to be particularly powerful. The crescent shape itself was seen as a protective symbol, reminiscent of the moon, which many ancient cultures associated with cycles of renewal and divine favor. Nailing a horseshoe above a doorway wasn't just practical. It was a way to create a barrier against malevolent forces, ensuring that no harm could enter the home. Over time, this belief spread across Europe, blending with local folklore and taking on new meanings. In medieval England, for example, blacksmiths were highly respected figures, seen as having almost magical skills due to their ability to shape iron. A horseshoe made by a blacksmith was considered doubly lucky, imbued with both the protective power of iron and the craftsmanship of someone who worked with fire and metal. This idea of craftsmanship as a form of magic added another layer to the superstition, turning horseshoes into talismans of good fortune. But there's a catch: the direction the horseshoe is hung matters. In some traditions, hanging it with the ends pointing upward is said to hold the luck, preventing it from spilling out. In others, hanging it with the ends pointing downward is believed to shower luck on those who pass beneath it. This variation reflects how superstitions often adapt to different cultural contexts, each adding its own twist to the original belief. Today, horseshoes remain a popular symbol of protection and luck. You'll find them in home decor, wedding ceremonies, and even corporate logos. Some people still hang them above doorways, while others carry miniature versions as charms. In Ireland, for example, it's not uncommon to see horseshoes incorporated into wedding traditions, symbolizing good fortune for the newlyweds. And in parts of the American South, horseshoes are often painted and hung as decorative pieces, blending superstition with regional artistry. What's fascinating about this superstition is how it ties into broader themes of craftsmanship and symbolism. Horseshoes aren't just lucky objects. They're reminders of humanity's long history of working with metal, of transforming raw materials into tools and talismans. They're also symbols of the natural world, their crescent shape echoing the moon and the cycles of life. This connection between metal and meaning isn't limited to horseshoes. Across cultures, metals like iron, silver, and gold have been imbued with symbolic significance, often tied to their physical properties and the skills required to work them. From the iron nails used in protective charms to the gold rings exchanged in weddings, these materials carry stories that go far beyond their practical uses. As we explore more superstitions, you'll see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the world around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions go beyond mere objects. They involve rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another everyday item that's steeped in ancient meaning: the humble key. The next time you spot a penny on the ground, do you pick it up? For many of us, it's an automatic reflex, a little ritual we've been taught brings good luck. But this simple act of bending down to grab a coin has roots that stretch back thousands of years, all the way to ancient Rome. Back then, coins weren't just currency. They were seen as a way to ensure safe passage into the afterlife. In ancient Roman tradition, it was customary to place a coin in the mouth or hand of the deceased before burial. This practice was tied to the belief in Charon, the ferryman who guided souls across the river Styx to the underworld. Without payment, it was thought that a soul might be left wandering the banks, unable to reach its final resting place. The coin, often called an obol, was a small but significant offering, a way to honor the dead and ensure their journey wasn't left to chance. Over time, this ritual became deeply ingrained in Roman culture, a symbol of respect and continuity between the living and the dead. As centuries passed, the meaning of coins began to shift. By the Middle Ages, coins had taken on a more general association with luck and prosperity. Finding a coin, especially one with a symbolic design, was seen as a sign of divine favor. In some European traditions, coins were carried as talismans or used in rituals to attract wealth and protection. The idea that a small, seemingly insignificant object could carry such power resonated with people, and the superstition began to evolve into the forms we recognize today. Fast forward to modern times, and the belief in lucky pennies is still very much alive. Many people follow the rhyme: find a penny, pick it up, and all day long you'll have good luck, treating the act as a small but meaningful gesture. Some even place found pennies in special jars or keep them in their pockets as personal talismans. In the United States, the Lincoln penny, with its image of the 16th president, is particularly cherished, often seen as a symbol of honesty and perseverance. What's fascinating about this superstition is how it reflects broader cultural attitudes toward money and wealth. Coins, especially small ones like pennies, carry a symbolic weight that goes beyond their monetary value. They're seen as tokens of fortune, reminders that even the smallest things can hold significance. This idea isn't limited to pennies throughout history. Money has often been imbued with spiritual or magical meaning, from the gold coins offered to gods in ancient temples to the modern practice of throwing coins into fountains for wishes. This connection between money and superstition reveals a deeper truth about how we view wealth and abundance. For our ancestors, coins weren't just about material gain. They were symbols of security, protection, and even divine favor. Today, we might not believe in Charon or the river Styx, but the act of picking up a penny still taps into that ancient longing for assurance, that hope that luck is on our side. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the world around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions go beyond mere objects. They involve rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another symbol of luck and prosperity, the enigmatic rabbit's foot. The next time you toss a coin into a fountain, take a moment to think about the centuries of history swirling beneath that shimmering surface. This simple act, so common that it's become almost second nature, has roots that run deep into the ancient world, where water wasn't just a resource but a sacred force, teeming with life and mystery. For the ancient Celts, rivers, springs, and wells weren't merely bodies of water. They were gateways to the otherworld, places where the divine and the earthly met. These natural features were believed to be inhabited by water spirits, beings who could grant blessings or curses depending on how they were treated. Offerings of coins, jewelry, or even small trinkets were made to these spirits as a sign of respect and gratitude, a way to ensure their favor and protection. The act of giving something valuable to the water was seen as a sacred exchange, a way to maintain harmony with the unseen forces that governed their lives. The Romans carried this tradition forward, blending it with their own beliefs about water deities. In Roman mythology, water was associated with gods like Neptune, who ruled the seas, and the nymphs who guarded freshwater springs. Tossing coins into water became a way to honor these deities, a gesture of reverence and a plea for their blessings. This practice was especially common at sacred sites, where springs and fountains were often dedicated to specific gods or goddesses. Over time, the act of making offerings in water became a widespread custom, one that transcended cultural and religious boundaries. Fast forward to the modern era, and this ancient ritual has taken on new life. The Trevi Fountain in Rome is perhaps the most famous example, where millions of visitors each year toss coins over their shoulders, hoping to ensure a return trip to the Eternal City. But it's not just the Trevi. Countless fountains and wishing wells around the world have become gathering places for this timeless tradition. From the bustling streets of Paris to quiet village squares, the act of tossing a coin into water has become a universal symbol of hope, a way to make a wish and leave a little piece of yourself behind. What's fascinating about this superstition is how it reflects humanity's enduring relationship with water. Across cultures and centuries, water has been seen as a source of life, purification, and renewal. It's no wonder that so many traditions revolve around it, from the ancient rituals of the Celts to the modern-day practice of tossing coins into fountains. These acts remind us that, even in a world dominated by technology and science, we're still drawn to the mystery and power of the natural world. This connection between water and spirituality isn't limited to fountains and wells. Rivers, lakes, and oceans have always held a special place in human culture, often serving as symbols of transformation and connection. In Hinduism, for example, the Ganges River is considered sacred, a place where pilgrims come to cleanse their sins and seek spiritual renewal. In Norse mythology, the Well of Erd, located at the roots of the world tree Yggdrasil, was believed to hold the wisdom of the gods. These stories reveal how deeply our ancestors saw water as a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the world around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these superstitions go beyond mere rituals. They involve objects and symbols that carry profound meanings, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another symbol of luck and transformation, the enigmatic rabbit's foot. The number 666, it's one of the most infamous sequences in human history, a symbol that instantly conjures images of the Antichrist, demonic forces, and apocalyptic warnings. But how did this number become so deeply associated with evil? To understand its origins, we need to turn to the Book of Revelation in the Christian Bible, where 666 is described as the number of the beast. This cryptic reference, written by John of Patmos in the 1st century, has sparked centuries of fear, speculation, and even obsession. John's description of 666 is tied to a vision of a beast rising from the sea, a figure often interpreted as the Antichrist. The number itself was likely a coded reference to the Roman Emperor Nero, whose persecution of early Christians made him a symbol of tyranny and evil. In ancient times, letters were often assigned numerical values, and when Nero's name was translated into Hebrew, it added up to 666. For early Christians, this number became a way to identify their oppressors in coded language, a secret warning hidden in plain sight. As Christianity spread, so did the fear of 666. By the Middle Ages, it had become a universal symbol of evil, a number to be avoided at all costs. People would go to great lengths to steer clear of it, from altering dates on documents to avoiding buildings with the number. This dread wasn't just confined to the religious realm. It seeped into folklore, literature, and even daily life. In some European traditions, 666 was believed to mark the presence of demons or witches, and finding it in unexpected places, like the total of a bill or the number of steps in a staircase, was seen as an omen of impending doom. Fast forward to modern times, and the fear of 666 is still very much alive. In the United States, for example, some states have banned the number from appearing on license plates, fearing it might cause distress or even provoke accidents. In popular culture, 666 has become a staple of horror movies, heavy metal lyrics, and Gothic symbolism, often used to evoke a sense of dread or rebellion. Even in everyday life, people sometimes avoid phone numbers, addresses, or hotel rooms that include the sequence, a small but telling reminder of how deeply ingrained this superstition remains. What's fascinating about 666 is how it reflects humanity's relationship with numbers as symbols. Across cultures, certain numbers have carried profound meanings, often tied to spiritual or mystical beliefs. In Chinese culture, for example, the number 4 is considered unlucky because it sounds similar to the word for death, while the number 8 is seen as lucky because it resembles the word for wealth. Similarly, in Hinduism, the number 7 is associated with cosmic order and completion, a concept echoed in many other traditions. These symbolic meanings reveal how numbers are more than just tools for counting. They're carriers of meaning, ways of encoding ideas and emotions that go beyond their numerical value. Whether it's the fear of 666 or the reverence for lucky numbers, these beliefs show how deeply our ancestors sought to find order and meaning in the world around them. This connection between numbers and superstition isn't just a relic of the past. It's a living tradition that continues to shape our lives. From the lottery tickets we buy to the dates we choose for weddings, numbers still carry a weight that goes beyond logic, tapping into something primal within us. And as we'll see next, this symbolic power extends far beyond single numbers, influencing how we see patterns, cycles, and even the passage of time. But for now, let's explore another number that's long been tied to superstition, the enigmatic 7. The opal, a gemstone that shimmers with a kaleidoscope of colors, capturing the light in a way that seems almost magical. Yet, for centuries, this stunning stone has been shrouded in superstition, particularly in the Western world, where it's often seen as a harbinger of bad luck. But where did this belief come from? To understand the opal's controversial reputation, we need to step back to the 19th century, when a single novel turned this once revered gem into an object of fear. Sir Walter Scott's 1829 novel, Anne of Geierstein, played a pivotal role in shaping this superstition. In the story, a character named Lady Hermione wears an opal that seems to mirror her emotions, glowing with vibrant colors when she's happy and turning dull when she's ill. When a drop of holy water accidentally touches the stone, it loses its luster and Hermione collapses, eventually turning to ash. The novel's dramatic portrayal of the opal as a cursed object struck a chord with readers, and soon the gem became synonymous with misfortune. Bookstores were flooded with returns of opal jewelry, and jewelers saw a sharp decline in demand for the once popular stone. But the roots of this superstition go even deeper. Long before Scott's novel, European folklore had already cast a shadow over opals. In medieval times, the gem was believed to contain the powers of all other stones, a trait that made it both fascinating and feared. Some saw this as a sign of divine favor, while others viewed it as a dangerous unpredictability. The opal's ability to reflect a spectrum of colors was often interpreted as a sign of instability, leading to associations with bad luck, betrayal, and even death. Interestingly, this negative view of opals isn't shared across all cultures. In many parts of the world, the gem is celebrated for its beauty and symbolic power. The ancient Greeks, for example, believed opals were formed from the tears of joy wept by Zeus after his victory over the Titans. They saw the stone as a symbol of hope and purity, capable of granting foresight and protection to its wearer. Similarly, in Arabic folklore, opals were thought to have fallen from the heavens during lightning storms, imbued with celestial energy. Indigenous Australian cultures, who have mined opals for thousands of years, consider the gem a sacred object, a connection to the dreamtime and the spiritual essence of the land. Despite these positive associations, the superstition surrounding opals persists in modern times. Many people still avoid wearing them, especially as engagement rings, fearing they might bring bad luck to a marriage. Some jewelers even refuse to set opals in wedding bands, a testament to how deeply ingrained this belief has become. Yet, for others, the opal's mesmerizing beauty outweighs its ominous reputation, making it a cherished gem for its uniqueness and rarity. This duality, where a single object can carry such conflicting meanings, isn't unique to opals. Throughout history, gemstones have been imbued with a wide range of symbolic significance, often shaped by cultural context and historical events. From the protective power of turquoise in Native American traditions to the royal allure of sapphires in European monarchies, these stones tell stories that reflect humanity's hopes, fears, and values. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the objects we cherish or fear. And as we'll discover next, some of these beliefs go beyond mere symbolism, involving rituals and actions that transform ordinary stones into powerful talismans. But for now, let's turn our attention to another gemstone that's long been tied to both luck and legend, the enigmatic emerald. the rabbit's foot, a small, often furry charm that's become synonymous with good luck. For many, it's a quirky keepsake, a childhood trinket bought at a carnival or gifted by a well-meaning relative. But this seemingly innocent object has a history far darker and more complex than its whimsical appearance suggests. To understand why people carry rabbits' feet for luck, we have to journey back to ancient traditions that saw rabbits not just as animals, but as powerful symbols of life, fertility, and the mysterious forces of nature. For the ancient Celts, rabbits were creatures of deep spiritual significance. Their ability to reproduce quickly made them symbols of fertility and abundance, while their nocturnal habits linked them to the moon and its cycles of renewal. The Celts believed that rabbits carried a kind of magic, a connection to the earth and its hidden energies. Carrying a part of the rabbit, its foot, was thought to transfer some of this power to the bearer, offering protection and good fortune. This belief wasn't just limited to Europe. Similar ideas appear in African traditions, where rabbits were seen as clever, resourceful animals capable of outsmarting predators. In these cultures, the rabbit's foot became a talisman of cunning and survival, a way to channel the animal's spirit for personal gain. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the rabbit's foot had evolved into a widespread superstition, particularly in the United States. Its popularity was fueled by a blend of folklore, marketing, and cultural exchange. Minstrel shows and traveling carnivals often sold rabbits' feet as lucky charms, weaving stories of their magical properties into their performances. The charm's small size and portability made it a popular item, one that could easily be carried in a pocket or purse. But there was a catch: not just any rabbit's foot would do. According to tradition, the foot had to come from a rabbit caught in a specific way, often under a full moon or in a cemetery, and had to be the left hind foot, believed to be the luckiest. These specific conditions added an air of mystery and exclusivity, making the charm even more desirable. Today, the rabbit's foot remains a recognizable symbol of luck, though its use has waned in many parts of the world. In some cultures, however, the tradition persists. In the American South, for example, it's not uncommon to see rabbit's feet sold at roadside stands or souvenir shops, often dyed bright colors and attached to keychains. In parts of Europe, the charm is still carried by those who believe in its protective powers, a nod to the ancient beliefs that first gave it meaning. What's striking about this superstition is how it reflects humanity's tendency to assign symbolic power to animals. From the Celts, who revered rabbits for their fertility, to the African traditions that celebrated their cunning, these beliefs reveal how deeply our ancestors saw the natural world as a source of wisdom and strength. The rabbit's foot is more than just a charm. It's a connection to those older ways of thinking, a reminder of how animals have shaped our stories and rituals. This idea that animal parts can carry symbolic meaning isn't limited to rabbits. Across cultures, people have turned to animals for protection, guidance, and luck, from the feathers of birds to the teeth of predators. These objects aren't just symbols, they're fragments of the natural world, pieces of a larger story about how humans have sought to understand and harness the power of the creatures around them. As we explore more superstitions, you'll see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the animal kingdom. And as we'll discover next, some of these beliefs go beyond mere objects, involving rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another animal that's long been tied to both luck and legend, the enigmatic black cat. The simple act of sharing bread, something so ordinary, so universal, has carried profound meaning across cultures and centuries. For our ancestors, bread wasn't just food, it was a symbol of life, community, and trust. The superstition surrounding breaking bread stems from this deep connection, rooted in the belief that how you shared bread could either strengthen bonds or invite misfortune. In ancient times, bread was more than sustenance, it was sacred. Many cultures believed that breaking bread together created an unspoken pact, a bond of goodwill and mutual respect. To break bread improperly, say, by tearing it with one's hands instead of cutting it with a knife, was seen as a sign of disrespect, an act that could sever that bond and bring bad luck. This belief wasn't just about manners, it was about maintaining harmony both with the people around you and the spiritual forces that governed life. One of the most vivid examples of this comes from Slavic traditions, where bread, or khleb, was considered a gift from the gods. In Russia, it was customary to kiss bread before cutting it, a gesture of reverence and gratitude. To drop bread or let it go stale was seen as a grave offense, a sign of ingratitude that could anger the spirits. Similarly, in Jewish tradition, breaking bread, or challah, during Sabbath meals is a ritual steeped in symbolism, representing unity and divine blessing. To mishandle the bread was thought to disrupt this sacred connection. Over time, these ancient beliefs evolved into the dining etiquette we know today. The idea that sharing bread creates a bond still lingers in modern customs, like the French tradition of passing a baguette directly to someone rather than setting it down on the table. In some Mediterranean cultures, tearing bread with your hands is still considered bad luck, a leftover from older superstitions about preserving the sanctity of the meal. Even the phrase, breaking bread together, has become a metaphor for friendship and hospitality, a reminder of how deeply these traditions have shaped our social rituals. What's fascinating is how these superstitions reveal the spiritual significance of food. Bread, in particular, has always been more than just nourishment, it's a symbol of life itself. In Christianity, bread represents the body of Christ, a central element of communion. In Hinduism, offering bread or grains to deities is a way to seek blessings and abundance. These traditions remind us that food isn't just about feeding the body, it's about feeding the soul, creating connections that transcend the physical world. This idea that food carries spiritual meaning isn't limited to bread. Across cultures, certain dishes and ingredients have been imbued with symbolic power, from the rice thrown at weddings to the herbs used in healing rituals. These practices show how deeply our ancestors saw food as a bridge between the human and the divine, a way to honor the forces that sustain life. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, revealing the ways in which food has shaped our beliefs, rituals, and even our sense of identity. And as we'll discover next, some of these beliefs go beyond mere symbolism, involving actions and traditions that transform the ordinary act of eating into something extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another aspect of food and superstition, the role of salt in warding off evil. In East Asia, the number 4 carries a weight far beyond its simple numerical value. It's a symbol of dread, a digit so feared that it's often omitted from building floors, hospital rooms, and even license plates. This aversion, deeply rooted in ancient Chinese and Japanese culture, stems from a linguistic quirk. The word for 4 sounds eerily similar to the word for death in both Mandarin and Japanese. This phonetic resemblance has transformed the number 4 into a harbinger of misfortune, a superstition that continues to shape daily life in profound and surprising ways. The roots of this belief trace back to ancient China, where numbers held significant symbolic meaning. In Chinese numerology, certain numbers were considered lucky or unlucky based on how they sounded when spoken aloud. The number 4, pronounced Sai in Mandarin, closely resembles the word for death, Sai. This association made the number taboo, particularly in contexts where harmony and good fortune were paramount. Over time, this belief spread to other East Asian cultures, including Japan, where the number 4, pronounced Shi, also echoes the word for death. This superstition has had a tangible impact on architecture and urban planning. In many East Asian cities, buildings often skip the fourth floor, just as Western buildings sometimes omit the 13th. Hospitals, in particular, take this belief seriously, avoiding the number 4 in room numbers or floor designations to prevent causing distress to patients. Even elevator buttons reflect this cultural nuance, with floors labeled as 3A or 5B instead of 4. The fear of the number 4 isn't just a quirky tradition, it's a deeply ingrained cultural reflex, one that shapes the physical spaces people inhabit. The influence of this superstition extends beyond architecture. In Japan, for example, gifts are rarely given in sets of 4, as this is seen as inviting bad luck. Similarly, in China, phone numbers or license plates containing the number 4 are often avoided, with people willing to pay a premium for numbers that exclude it. In some cases, businesses have even removed products labeled with the number 4 from their shelves, fearing that customers will associate them with misfortune. What's fascinating is how this superstition persists in modern times, even as societies become more secular and rational. In South Korea, for instance, the number 4 is so stigmatized that some hospitals have entirely eliminated it from their room numbering systems. This isn't just about tradition, it's about empathy, a recognition of how deeply cultural beliefs can affect people's well-being. This connection between language and superstition isn't unique to East Asia. Across cultures, words and sounds have often been imbued with symbolic power, shaping beliefs and behaviors in ways that transcend logic. In English, for example, the word 13 carries its own ominous weight, while in Italian, the number 17 is avoided because its Roman numeral, Roman 17, can be rearranged to spell vixi, a Latin word meaning "I have lived," a phrase often inscribed on tombstones. These linguistic superstitions reveal a universal truth, that language is more than just a tool for communication. It's a bridge between the tangible and the intangible, a way to encode our deepest fears and hopes. Whether it's the number 4 in East Asia or the number 13 in the West, these beliefs remind us that words and numbers are never just words and numbers. They're vessels for meaning, carrying the weight of centuries of human thought and emotion. As we explore more superstitions, you'll see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the languages we speak. And as we'll discover next, some of these beliefs go beyond mere words, involving rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another superstition that's deeply tied to language, the ancient practice of whispering wishes into the wind. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, caught the fleeting streak of a shooting star, and made a wish? It's a moment that feels almost magical, a connection to something bigger than ourselves. But this simple act of wishing on a shooting star isn't just a whimsical tradition. It's a practice steeped in ancient beliefs, one that connects us to the way our ancestors saw the heavens as a realm of gods and divine messages. The roots of this superstition stretch back to ancient Greece and Rome, where stars weren't just points of light in the sky. They were seen as celestial beings, manifestations of gods and heroes. The Greeks believed that the stars were the souls of the departed, watching over the living from their place in the cosmos. The Romans, too, saw stars as divine, often associating them with their pantheon of gods. When a star streaked across the night sky, it was thought to be a sign from the gods, a rare and fleeting moment when the heavens opened to communicate with mortals. Wishing on a shooting star became a way to seize that moment, to send a plea or a hope directly to the divine. Over time, this belief evolved into the universal tradition we know today. By the Middle Ages, the idea of wishing on a shooting star had spread across Europe, blending with local folklore and taking on new meanings. In some traditions, shooting stars were seen as the souls of the newly departed ascending to heaven. In others, they were omens of change or transformation, a sign that something significant was about to happen. Regardless of the interpretation, the act of making a wish became a way to connect with that sense of possibility, to reach out and claim a bit of that celestial magic for oneself. Today, wishing on a shooting star remains a beloved ritual, one that transcends cultures and generations. It's a moment of quiet optimism, a reminder that even in the vastness of the universe, there's room for hope. From children whispering their dreams to adults silently reflecting on their deepest desires, the practice endures as a universal symbol of aspiration. It's not just about the wish itself, it's about the act of looking up, of believing, even for a moment, that the universe might be listening. What's fascinating about this superstition is how it reveals humanity's enduring fascination with the night sky. From the ancient Greeks who saw stars as divine beings to the modern stargazer who marvels at the beauty of a meteor shower, the heavens have always been a source of wonder and inspiration. Celestial events, whether they're shooting stars, eclipses, or comets, have long been seen as moments of significance, times when the boundary between the earthly and the divine feels just a little thinner. This connection between the cosmos and superstition isn't limited to shooting stars. Across cultures, celestial phenomena have inspired a wide range of beliefs and rituals, from the Norse who saw eclipses as a sign of impending doom to the Chinese who celebrated comets as harbingers of change. These traditions remind us that the sky has always been more than just a backdrop. It's a canvas for our hopes, fears, and imaginations. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the universe, the superstitions tied to celestial events offer a glimpse into how our ancestors made sense of the world around them. They're not just stories, they're reflections of our shared humanity, our need to find meaning in the vast and unknown. And as we'll see next, some of these beliefs go beyond mere wishes, involving actions and rituals that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another celestial phenomenon that's long been tied to superstition, the enigmatic lunar eclipse. Bamboo, simple, elegant, and surprisingly resilient, has long been more than just a plant in Chinese culture. It's a symbol of strength, flexibility, and good fortune, qualities that have made it a cornerstone of Feng Shui, the ancient practice of harmonizing energy in living spaces. But what is it about bamboo that inspired such reverence? To answer that, we need to step into the world of ancient China, where bamboo wasn't just a plant, it was a bridge between the natural and spiritual realms. In Chinese tradition, bamboo is often referred to as the gentleman of plants, a title that reflects its enduring qualities. Its hollow stems are seen as a symbol of humility, while its ability to bend without breaking represents resilience in the face of adversity. These traits made bamboo a natural choice for attracting positive energy, or kai, in Feng Shui practices. Lucky bamboo, with its vibrant green stalks and graceful curves, became a popular tool for channeling this energy, believed to bring prosperity, health, and harmony to those who kept it in their homes. The origins of lucky bamboo as a symbol of luck are deeply tied to its cultural significance. In ancient China, bamboo was associated with the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, making it a powerful conduit for balancing energies. The number of stalks in a lucky bamboo arrangement also carried specific meanings. 3 stalks symbolized happiness, wealth, and longevity, while 5 stalks represented the 5 elements themselves, bringing overall balance. Over time, these arrangements became a common sight in households and businesses, a visual reminder of the desire for harmony and good fortune. As Chinese culture spread across the globe, so did the tradition of lucky bamboo. By the late 20th century, it had become a global phenomenon, appearing in homes and offices from New York to Paris. Its popularity was fueled not just by its aesthetic appeal, but by its accessibility. Unlike many feng shui tools, lucky bamboo requires minimal care, thriving in water with just a bit of indirect light. This ease of maintenance made it an ideal choice for people seeking to incorporate a touch of Eastern philosophy into their lives without committing to complex rituals. Today, lucky bamboo remains a beloved symbol of luck and positivity. In modern offices, it's often placed on desks or in meeting rooms, believed to enhance creativity and productivity. In homes, it's used to create a sense of calm and balance, its presence serving as a daily reminder of the importance of resilience and harmony. Even in gift-giving, lucky bamboo has found a place, often presented as a token of good wishes for new beginnings, whether it's a housewarming, a wedding, or the start of a new job. What makes lucky bamboo so fascinating is how it reflects humanity's connection to the natural world. Plants, after all, have always carried symbolic meaning, from the oak trees revered by the Druids to the lotus flowers cherished in Buddhism. They're not just decorations, they're living symbols of the values and beliefs that shape our lives. Lucky bamboo, with its roots in ancient Chinese philosophy, is a perfect example of how a simple plant can carry profound spiritual significance. This idea that plants are more than just greenery isn't limited to bamboo. Across cultures, certain plants have been imbued with symbolic power, becoming tools for protection, healing, and even divination. Whether it's the rosemary used to ward off evil spirits in Europe or the basil leaves revered in Hindu rituals, these traditions reveal how deeply our ancestors saw the natural world as a source of wisdom and strength. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the plants around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these beliefs go beyond mere symbolism, involving rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another plant that's long been tied to both luck and legend, the enigmatic four-leaf clover. While many cultures fear the number 13 in Italy, it's the number 17 that sends shivers down spines. This superstition, deeply rooted in ancient Roman beliefs, has woven itself into the fabric of Italian culture, influencing everything from architecture to daily life. But why does this seemingly ordinary number carry such a heavy burden of dread? To understand its ominous reputation, we need to step back to ancient Rome, where numbers weren't just quantities, they were symbols carrying meanings that could shape fortunes and fates. In Roman numerals, 17 is written as Roman 17. At first glance, it's just a sequence of letters, but rearrange them, and you get vixi, a Latin word that translates to "I have lived." While that might sound poetic in ancient Rome, it was a phrase commonly inscribed on tombstones, a euphemism for death. This association made 17 a number to be avoided, a symbol of mortality that carried an air of foreboding. For the Romans, who were deeply superstitious, numbers held powerful significance, and 17's link to death made it particularly unlucky. This ancient belief didn't fade with the fall of Rome. Instead, it persisted, evolving over centuries and embedding itself in Italian culture. Today, many Italian buildings skip the 17th floor, much like how Western buildings often omit the 13th. Hospitals, hotels, and even apartment complexes frequently label the floor after 16 as 16A or 18, avoiding the dreaded number altogether. In some cases, entire streets or addresses are altered to exclude 17, a testament to how deeply this superstition has influenced urban planning and daily life. The fear of 17 isn't just confined to architecture. In Italy, it's common to avoid the number in other contexts as well. For example, giving a gift in a set of 17 is seen as inviting bad luck, much like offering a bouquet of white lilies, which are traditionally associated with funerals. Even in sports, athletes might avoid wearing the number 17 on their jerseys, fearing it could bring misfortune on the field. These small but significant choices reveal how deeply ingrained this superstition remains in modern Italian culture. What's fascinating about this belief is how it reflects broader cultural attitudes toward numbers. Across the world, certain digits carry symbolic weight, often tied to language, history, or religion. In East Asia, the number 4 is feared because it sounds like the word for death. In Western cultures, 13 is avoided due to its association with the Last Supper. These superstitions reveal a universal truth. Numbers are more than just tools for counting, they're vessels for meaning, carrying the weight of centuries of human thought and emotion. This connection between numbers and superstition isn't just a relic of the past. It's a living tradition that continues to shape our lives. From the lottery tickets we buy to the dates we choose for weddings, numbers still carry a weight that goes beyond logic, tapping into something primal within us. And as we'll see next, this symbolic power extends far beyond single numbers, influencing how we see patterns, cycles, and even the passage of time. But for now, let's turn our attention to another number that's long been tied to both luck and legend, the mystical number 7. The color red has a way of commanding attention. It's bold, vibrant, and impossible to ignore. But in many cultures, red isn't just a color, it's a symbol of luck, prosperity, and protection. This belief is especially strong in China, where red has been revered for thousands of years as the ultimate good fortune charm. But how did this vibrant hue come to hold such power? To answer that, we need to step into the world of ancient China, where red wasn't just a color, it was a lifeline. In ancient Chinese culture, red was deeply tied to the concept of yang, the active, fiery energy that symbolizes life, vitality, and good fortune. It was believed to ward off evil spirits, which were thought to fear its brightness and intensity. This association made red a go-to choice for important occasions, from weddings to festivals. During the Lunar New Year, for example, homes would be adorned with red lanterns, and children would receive red envelopes filled with money, all to attract good luck and keep misfortune at bay. Red wasn't just decorative, it was a shield, a way to ensure that the coming year would be filled with happiness and prosperity. The roots of this superstition go even deeper, tied to the myth of Nine, a fearsome beast that would terrorize villages at the start of each year. According to legend, Nine was afraid of loud noises and the color red, prompting villagers to hang red banners and set off firecrackers to scare it away. Over time, this practice evolved into a broader belief in red's protective powers, making it a staple of Chinese culture. But the influence of red didn't stop at China's borders. As Chinese communities spread across the globe, so did the belief in red's lucky properties. In Southeast Asia, red is often worn during weddings to symbolize joy and marital bliss. In India, brides traditionally wear red saris, a practice that echoes the color's association with prosperity and fertility. Even in the West, red has found its way into fashion and design, often used to convey passion, energy, and success. From the red carpets of Hollywood to the crimson jerseys of sports teams, the color's symbolic power has become universal. Today, red remains a central part of celebrations and rituals around the world. During Chinese New Year, cities like Beijing and Hong Kong are awash in red, from the decorations adorning streets to the clothing worn by revelers. In the corporate world, red is often used in branding to evoke confidence and excitement, a modern twist on its ancient associations. Even in everyday life, wearing a red scarf or tie is sometimes seen as a way to channel good fortune, a small but meaningful nod to this enduring belief. What's fascinating about the superstition of red is how it reveals the symbolic power of color. Across cultures, colors have always carried deep meanings, often tied to the natural world or spiritual beliefs. Red, with its fiery intensity, has consistently been seen as a source of energy and protection, a way to connect with the forces that shape our lives. This idea that colors are more than just visual elements isn't unique to red. From the calming blue of the sky to the purity of white, colors have long been used to convey emotions, ideas, and even spiritual truths. They're not just part of the world we see, they're part of how we understand and interact with it. As we explore more superstitions, you'll start to see how these themes repeat themselves, showing just how deeply our beliefs are intertwined with the colors around us. And as we'll discover next, some of these beliefs go beyond mere symbolism, involving rituals and actions that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. But for now, let's turn our attention to another color that's long been tied to both luck and legend, the enigmatic gold. As we've journeyed through the origins of modern superstitions, one thing has become abundantly clear: these seemingly simple habits and beliefs are far more than quirks of tradition. They're threads woven into the fabric of human history, connecting us to the hopes, fears, and worldviews of our ancestors. From knocking on wood to avoid bad luck to tossing salt over a shoulder to ward off evil, every superstition carries the echoes of ancient cultures and their attempts to make sense of an unpredictable world. What's remarkable is how these traditions have endured, adapting and evolving across centuries and continents. They remind us that, no matter how much the world changes, certain human experiences remain universal. Our desire for protection, our fear of the unknown, and our need to find meaning in the everyday. Whether it's the Celts honoring tree spirits or the Romans fearing the number 17, these beliefs reveal a shared humanity, a collective effort to navigate life's uncertainties. These superstitions also offer us a unique window into our own cultural heritage. Have you ever stopped to think about why you avoid walking under ladders or why you cross your fingers when hoping for the best? These small actions are more than habits. They're links to the past, part of a story that stretches back generations. By understanding their origins, we gain a deeper appreciation for the traditions that shape our lives and the cultures that shape them. As the philosopher Carl Jung once said, the collective unconscious is not individual but universal. In other words, the stories and symbols that resonate with us, whether they're ancient myths or modern superstitions, are part of a shared human experience, a way of connecting with something larger than ourselves. And that's the true magic of these beliefs. They remind us that, despite our differences, we're all part of the same tapestry, woven together by the threads of history and imagination. So, the next time you find yourself knocking on wood or tossing a penny into a fountain, take a moment to reflect on the story behind it. What does it reveal about where you come from? And what does it say about the timeless human desire to find meaning in the world around us? Now, it's your turn. What superstitions do you follow, and what do they mean to you? Share your stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear how these ancient beliefs show up in your life. And if you enjoyed this journey through the mysteries of superstition, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more fascinating insights into the stories that shape our world. Thanks for watching, and remember, whether you're knocking on wood or wishing on a star, you're part of a tradition that's as old as humanity.